pulse into 4 equal parts. All right, so here's the beat. So now, can you hear 4 subdivisions? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You follow me? Okay. We're gonna do those 4 subdivisions. Down, up, 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 down. Here we go. Now here's the tricky part. We're gonna accent 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Slow it down. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Slow it down even more. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So the downbeats, we can see that I beamed them in groupings of 4. So we have 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and You follow me so far?
Yeah.
We always strum down on the downbeat, so I'm just going to go ahead and the first group of 4 is a downstroke. After that, it's up, down, up, down, up. It's just alternate. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But
go ahead.
That accent.
Hold on.
First one's down.
We'll get you. We'll get you. So now we have aligned the 1 with a downstroke. The next subdivision we labeled E. That's aligned with an upstroke. And then the next subdivision, which we have labeled AND, is also aligned with a downstroke. And then the final subdivision, is aligned with an upstroke. So it's down on 1, up on E, down on AND, up on Follow me?
Yep.
So there's 2 ways you can think about counting this. Whatever works for you, works for me. How do you like that? So I'm going to put an accent on 1. I'm going to put an accent on So on the first beat, we have a downstroke accent and an upstroke accent. And then on the second beat, we have an accent on the downstroke on AND. And then we have an accent on the E of 3, which is an upstroke. Then we have another accent on 4. So if you notice, we have accents on the downbeat of 1, the of beat 1, the AND of beat 2, the E of beat 3, and the downbeat of beat 4, which is 4. So you could think of it like this: 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4. The issue counting it this way, it's not a bad or good thing. It's just something to be aware of. Is that sometimes people turn them into triplets. They're not triplets. These are 16th notes, and when you section off these 16th notes in groupings of 3, then the 1 comes in on the 1 here, but then it's on the then this is on the AND, this is on the E, and this is on the 4. So step 1, to get a pulse, hold on, I'm just going to give you the steps first, right? Then you got to cut that pulse into 4 parts. I'm going to slow it down. And then, once you have 2, 3, I'm going to try to subdivide it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Started off slow.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And don't try to play it any faster than you are comfortable hearing it in your head. And the more you play it, the more comfortable you're going to get with it. You know, it's about understanding what's going on, I think, is the biggest piece of successfully performing it. It's one thing to understand it. It's another thing entirely to play it without screwing it up. So once you get what is happening from a musical, rhythmical standpoint, and you understand it, your next phase is perfecting the execution. Just because you get it doesn't mean you can play it. That means you understand it. It's like a music appreciation. I might be able to analyze Beethoven's Symphony No. 5. That doesn't mean I can compose like Beethoven. It's two separate skill sets. One's not bad or not good, but it's people think that once you understand it, you can execute it. And from my experience, that's not the case. So, but it's a step in the process.
Gotcha.
You following?
Yeah.
Cool?
Yeah, that's a great visual.
Okay, so let's try to put it in play now. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to just get yourself a nice, slow rhythm on the beat. Just quarter notes. Just quarter notes. 1, 2. And when you feel comfortable, and try not to let any sound out. I wouldn't even play the chord. And now, when you feel comfortable enough, try to cut that in 4. That's all right. Even if you slow down a little bit, I just want you to, as long as you can cut it in 4. You're not cutting it in 4 yet. But that's so you know what that means? That means you've got to slow it down more. Cut it in 4 in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. See, so what happened is you slowed it down when you physically did it. So slow it down even more, even if it's painful. That's fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So you want to slow it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it, brother. Nice. Nice job. You did it. But it took us that process, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you can do this. You did it. You just did it. If you did it once, you could do it every single time. The issue you're going to be confronted with is being organized in the process to get there.
Yeah.
You got to just keep an eye on what you're doing. Did I first of all put a beat down that is slow enough that when I subdivide it, it's not too fast? That's the first most common mistake, right? Then, while I have my quarter note, can I cut this in 4? 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E, and can I say it in my head? 2 E and 3 E and 4 E, and once I have it in my head, I have something to lock into, so I can put it on the guitar, right? 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E, and now I have this motoring through. I'm going to cut it in 3 accents and 1 accent on 4. So we have this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. Nice job. You did it. Good job. Well, now I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to sit back and have a coffee. You're going to do it now.
The same thing? Or
Yeah, I want to make sure you're comfortable. See, I like what you just did. You caught yourself, now you're back. You're resetting. Perfect. Had it. So close.
Lost it.
That's all right. So this process is not black and white. It's not you cross a threshold and all of a sudden you have it. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
You're going to get part of it. You're going to lose it. Some days you can't find your butt with both hands. It's just the way it is. It's just, and then other days you're going to be like Superman. You're going to nail it, and then you're going to come back and practice the next day, and you're going to be like, "What happened? I can't do it." It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So all we can do is go back to our system and work it, work the system, and I promise you, if you do that, it'll eventually, the consistency will be there, and you will start to put this together, and then eventually all of the steps that we have put into play will not have any part in playing it, because you will have internalized it. It's a paradox. We have all these steps. When you're playing, if you are on a gig and you're going to play Pinball Wizard, I do not want you going through these steps. This has no place on stage.
I'll be right with you.
Yeah. Hold on, I got to get a beat going on. All right, now I got to calm my accents. Hold on, go get a beer at the bar, right? It's not going to happen. So there's the paradox. We go through these steps, so when we get to the bandstand, we just play.
Yeah.
Focus on performing. You know, focus on not getting distracted by whatever million distractions could happen at a concert, a nightclub, or whatever. You know, you have to have it down to that point where, you know, I'm just going to say to myself, you know, you can have some fun with, Yeah, it's not a power chord, it's an octave.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I don't think he actually does the octave on the recording. I think there's like distortion, and he, I'd have to listen to it. But I like the octave.
It's 5 to 7, is that it?
Yeah, 5 to 7 and 7 to 9.
Gotcha.
On the, so it's 6th string, 5 to 7, and then 7 to 9 on the 4th.
I used one of your lines last night.
What was that?
I was mesmerized by this drummer. He plays in 8 different bands, and he just was so locked in. I said, I gotta say something to this guy. I go, hey, listen. I said, I know as a musician you've got thousands of hours into your craft, but you made it look so effortless. So I remember you saying, anyone that plays a song up there, they've got thousands of hours in it.
Absolutely.
And he really appreciated it. So
And
it's pretty cool.
yeah, exactly. So that's a really cool thing, because he, you know, is, first of all, he's the drummer, so he's the unsung hero of the band. In my opinion, the drummer is the most important component of the band. Without a good drummer, the band has no foundation which to play on. All right. If you have a crappy guitar player, or a crappy, keyboard player, or there are some parts of the song that will carry that mediocre player through. But if you don't have a strong groove, how do you build a cool sound or a nice song? You can't. The drummer's playing all the time. You can name songs where the guitar comes in and comes out. There's parts in the vocals, that the guitar vocal comes in and out. But the bass player and the drummer are the solid. Not only are they the brunt of most musicians' jokes, which I still think are funny, but in all seriousness, this is my favorite. Is you hear the one about the drummer who locked his keys in his car?
No.
Took him a half hour to get the bass player out. Boom. But even though they're the brunt of the jokes, they are, in my opinion, the most important part of the band, especially the drummer. A good drummer makes or breaks the way the whole band sounds. You can't escape the drum beat. It's like building a house, and how do you build a house from the roof down? It's impossible.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a good analogy.
You can't. And so the drummer is the foundation. The bass player is right there with them.
Yeah. They're
locking in the canvas, the sonic canvas, which we are painting metaphorically over. So unfortunately, most people who are not musicians don't get that. And who gets all the fame and glory is the lead singer, right? Yeah. And then who's second? Maybe the lead guitar player, right? And so those are the two famed people. I'm sure there are a lot of disgruntled bass players and drummers out there, and they do have some right to feel that way. But you know, if they really look at the big picture, they know the truth that it's without them there is no kick-ass band.
True.
You know, so that, I'm sure he appreciated that, because I'm sure he doesn't hear that enough.
Actually, my boss is a big Who fan, and he calls Entwistle the lead guitar player, and he calls Townsend the rhythm guy.
There you go. So the takeaway here is
yeah,
trying to get that together. I think you're going to get it. Just got to keep working that plan.
Yeah, that's cool. That's what I love about learning a song. You get so into it. Like, I've heard it a million times, and I'm half-assing it, and it sounds...
Well, the reason that, you know, it sounds half-assed is you didn't pull it apart from a musical perspective.
Right.
You know, when we strum on the guitar, that's playing rhythm. Most guitar players, myself included, I didn't start learning playing the guitar, looking at sheet music. You know, I picked up my guitar and I put on an Ozzy Osbourne song, and I tried to figure it out. You know, fortunately for me, my musical background was before playing guitar. I played the trumpet, so I knew how to read music. I didn't know where those notes were on the guitar, but I was able to figure that out, and then I studied with someone and I learned how to read. So, but that's not most common in people who do this for fun. And then there's that stigma that, oh, you can't learn how to read music. You know, I don't want to do that. It takes too much time. I get it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we have to be music readers, but you need to understand rhythm, which is a component of reading music. So we don't have to sit there and, you know, go get a Bach, you know, invention and read it. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you got to understand some simple music rudiments and fundamentals about theory and music and harmonic structure and rhythm. So that's going to improve your musicianship. You're a musician playing the guitar. And so a lot of guitar players don't want to learn musicianship skills. They want to learn an Eddie Van Halen solo, or, you know, which is great. I do too, you know, but Eddie Van Halen has high musicianship skills as well as high guitarist skills. And people overlook the musicianship aspect as opposed to the physical playing quick licks and cool stuff on the guitar. Right. So there's more layers. It's not about one thing. It's about both things, you know. So that's what we're doing here. So this is a great exercise to focus on understanding what a 16th note is.
Yeah. And
we put it in the context of a tune, which is fun to play. So my takeaway for you as a music educator is I want you to understand that you are strumming 16th notes. And the way you subdivide the beat is saying 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Each 16th note has a label, all right? And we accent certain subdivisions of the 16th note to get that sound. Because if we didn't, it would sound like this.
Ever since I was a young
Ever since I was a young